Hey guys, welcome back to more political chatter. Today, we will be talking about this insane new poll that we have coming out of the state of Texas. They have a Senate race in 2026 in the midterms that already shows a lead for the Democratic candidate in this race. We have a midterm poll already showing Colin Allred, who is once again a candidate for Senate in Texas, beating one of the candidates in the Republican primary for Senate, Ken Paxton, who's the current Attorney General, and is on track right now to unseat the incumbent Senator, John Cornyn, the Republican. This is a competitive primary between Paxton and Cornyn. And this poll further proves, as we've known this entire time, that Paxton would be a much, much, much weaker candidate than Cornyn, but still, Cornyn is extremely unpopular among Republicans in his state, not MAGA aligned enough, and it appears that Paxton will unseat him as of now. But will that put Colin Allred in a place to have a chance in the general election? It appears that yes, that is true. Now, this is Colin Allred. He is a candidate that we know, where we know his electability, his strengths, his weaknesses. He was the candidate for the Democrats in 2024 against Ted Cruz. He lost by 8 points. It was supposed to be much closer than 8 points. He severely underperformed expectations. But look at the presidential ballot. This was on the same ballot. Donald Trump won by 14 percentage points, 13 and a half to 8.5. Colin Allred outperformed Kamala Harris and the Democrats by 5 points, or sorry, by 6 points. No, 5 points. In the state of Texas. So this is someone who has proven himself to be an overperformer, even in bad national environments for the Democrats. Point being, if this was a normal election where Democrats didn't, where it wasn't a catastrophe for Democrats nationwide, Colin Allred overperforming National Democrats by 5 points, he would actually have a chance at winning. So, point being, looking at the 2026 environment, where the environment will be much friendlier towards Democrats than it was in 2024, Colin Allred, or whoever the Democrats put up in this race, might just have a chance. But this isn't exactly about Colin Allred. It's the fact that this is a chance for Democrats to flip a much needed Senate seat. When you look at the Senate map right now, this is my current prediction. I think that they will hang on in Michigan and Georgia, and I think that Democrats are absolutely on track with Roy Cooper in North Carolina and Graham Plattner in Maine to flip both of those seats. That's 49-51. But Democrats will need 51, obviously, for a majority. So where do they look? Well, you have two lean states in my characterization right now. I think that Texas will be lean as of now. This is just one poll. This is an Allred internal, by the way. That shows him up. But I still think that if it's Paxton or if it's Cornyn, that Republicans are favored to win that seat. But you've got Texas and you've got Sherrod Brown running again in Ohio. If they win those two, Democrats take control of the Senate. It is not out of the question. Every single poll that we get where it has Democrats shockingly overperforming, like this Texas poll, puts them one step closer towards winning Senate majority. So it is absolutely in the realm of possibility. And by the way, when it comes to Texas, it doesn't matter if it's Colin Allred or whoever. Because interestingly, even though Texas shifted so far towards the right last year in 2024, Democrats still have a very strong bench of electable candidates. You have Colin Allred, who has proven himself to overperform Harris and National Democrats by 5 points. You have the 2018 nominee, Beto O'Rourke, who only lost by Ted Cruz by 2.6% when 2 years earlier Hillary Clinton lost the state by what, 13 points or something like that. You have Beto O'Rourke. And then you have the dark horse, the rising star in the Democratic Party, James Tallarico, the state rep who has really been extremely successful in using his Christian faith to convey a left wing liberal, at least not necessarily left wing, but a liberal sort of messaging. He has been extremely successful nationwide. In that he has gotten a lot of attention. He was on Joe Rogan. So you have and you have Allred and you have O'Rourke. Both of them have proven that they can very successfully overperform nationwide Democrats, overperform Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton, whoever it may be. And then you have James Tallarico, whose electability hasn't exactly been proven on a statewide scale yet, just in a state house district. But he is someone who seems to be a very strong candidate. So, point being, in Texas, this is a not just a good poll for Colin Allred. It means that this state is in play come 2026, and this is following a theme that we are seeing Senate race after Senate race after Senate race. Um, where is the main? Here it is. You've got all of these strong candidates emerging. I don't want to give Chuck Schumer credit because I hate him, but he is fielding some very strong candidates, at least what it looks like. Of course, you have the incumbents like John Ossoff in Georgia. And then you have Roy Cooper, the extremely popular former governor in North Carolina. He's running. Schumer didn't get him, so give him no credit for this. But you have, I think, the most strongest candidate of any Senate race, competitive Senate race in 2026, Graham Plattner, the working class, blue collar lefty in Maine, trying to unseat Susan Collins there. You have a very strong and competitive primary in Michigan with Mallory McMorrow, Abdul El Sayed, and then Haley Stevens. Whoever emerges from that will probably be the strongest candidate in the general election. Remember, primaries are healthy, they field the strongest candidates. Yeah, Chuck Schumer was able to get Sherrod Brown in Ohio to run, the former senator, by far the strongest possible candidate there. And then he's actively in the process of getting Mary Peltola to run in Alaska. This could be huge. She was the former rep. She somehow won in 2022. Um, a very strong candidate, by far the strongest Dems could put up. I mean, they just released a poll in the governor race, in the Republican primary for governor, where Peltola, the Democrat, was at 8% of the vote. Just to give you an idea of how strong of a candidate Mary Peltola is, she could absolutely win that race there in Alaska. So, point being, Democrats are really expanding their outreach to states where you wouldn't expect they would even be in the realm of possibility of winning just based off the 2024 results. I mean, the states I brought up, North Carolina, okay, that one is possible, 3%. But look at Ohio. Trump won that by 11. Alaska, Trump won it by 13. Texas, Trump won it by 14. So you have multiple red states where Donald Trump won by double digits, where Democrats are putting up a good fight. Maybe they won't win, right? Colin Allred probably won't win. Sherrod Brown probably won't win. Alaska with Peltola is honestly a toss-up. But the more and more states where Democrats, expand their efforts, right, try to make it a competitive race, that is more ground that Republicans have to defend. Remember, in these midterm elections, in House races, Senate races, gubernatorial races, you want to be on the offense more than the defense. It's much whatever. It's obvious. It's um sorry, I got a notification. Um, oh God, now I lost my train of thought completely. Thanks, iPhone. But it's better to be again on the offense than the defense. You are it's much better to be in a position where you're trying to flip Senate seats rather than defend them, rather than keep them in your party. Um, so whatever. Um, Point being, Democrats, they have Michigan and Georgia that they have to defend, but look at all the other places that would be flips. North Carolina would be a flip, Maine would be a flip, Ohio would be a flip, Alaska would be a flip, Texas would be a flip, and then I forgot to mention before, Nebraska, where you have Dan Osborne endorsed by the Nebraska Democratic Party, that would also be a flip. So it is shaping up to be a much better state of the race for Senate Democrats in 2026 than we previously thought. But let me just sort of exemplify what I just said. Alaska, Texas, Ohio, North Carolina, Maine, and then Nebraska. Toss up will mean independent there. That would give Democrats 52, Republicans 47. This is their absolute best case scenario. This is the Democrats' best case scenario. This is how they would be left: 52 to 47. So the more states where Democrats are able to field strong candidates, it's better for the Democratic Party. And there's always these candidates that no one really sees coming but emerge to be very strong. Look at Dan Osborne in 2024. Nobody thought anything of him when he announced his bid. They started thinking something of him when a few days before the election, the New York Times put out a poll that had him down by like 3 points. He ended up losing by 6. So there will be more strong candidates emerging. Iowa, I could see getting very close. Of course, Dan Osborne in Nebraska, I could see that one getting very close. Who knows in Florida? Florida's always tricky because it always looks like it's getting close and it never is, so I wouldn't put too much thought into that one. South Carolina could get close. People want Stephen Colbert to run. That would be interesting. I mean, in 2020, you had Mississippi come out of nowhere and get close in that Senate race with Mike Espy. Yeah, Mike Espy, they had some polls that had him down by like barely anything. 3 points in that last poll, 7 points, and this is Mississippi, deep red state. Donald Trump won it by what in 2020? He won it by 16 in 2020. So to see Mike Espy, that Democrat, down by uh by 3 in that polling, that was exciting for Democrats. He ended up losing by 10, but still, that's much better than 16. Still a lot closer than it was supposed to be. So people will emerge. So this is, much more than a year out until the election. This is honestly a pretty good spot. All things considered, this is a pretty good spot for Democrats to be at this point. Whoops, sorry. Ohio is the one off. That's the state of the race right now. Insane poll from Texas. That was really shocking to see. But thank you all for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.